Hello everybody and welcome back to another exciting episode of Chocobo Dash. I'm one of your hosts, Nell Celestine.
And I'm your other host, Elliot Lefebvre.
We're back from a very short, unexpected impromptu break. Did you want to start there?
We could start there if you wanted to. I figured we'd start with more game news, and then we'd talk more about the meta-related news later on in the show. So,
all right. Well, then why don't we start with the big piece of news? We had a surprise live letter, and by surprise I mean I think the only place that knew about it was the Japanese forums.
Yeah, I think it was just a surprise in general. And while it did not tell us a whole lot of, it did tell us a fair bit of stuff that we didn't already know, including the Gold Saucer date, which is going to be live on February 24th.
That's not too far away.
No, it's not. And I mean, we all we knew it was going to be in late February. We knew it was probably going to be about a month after the patch. So it's not a stunner, but it's still closer than I think a lot of people were expecting.
I know I was expecting probably a little bit closer to the 28th.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty impressed of how fast this is coming, but this is just Gold Saucer and the next step of the Relic Quest, I believe, and then the rest of the content is going to be in 2.55, I think, right?
Yeah, so that's scheduled for later in March, so, make your own predictions about when that's going to be. My personal guess is probably around either March 24th or March 31st.
So we'll find out a little bit more about that once 2.51 drops and we're actually able to go into the Mandeville Gold Saucer. And it looks like, but I'm not sure if it's confirmed whether or not yet, but it looks like the Setzer outfit is male only, and there is a Bunny Girl outfit for females.
Which, it's not confirmed. I haven't seen anything firmly saying one way or the other. If that is the truth, that's kind of horrible.
Yeah, because it's like, hey look, Setzer from Final Fantasy VI. All the guys can dress the same. Girls, guess what? You're dressing as a Playboy bunny.
I'm not going to call that even. It's possible, but it hasn't even come close to being confirmed yet, so they haven't specifically said that it's gender limited. They have, however, revealed that you will be able to get the citizen clothes from the various cities in the Gold Saucer.
Oh, so kind of like some of the outfits that the NPCs have that we don't have access to?
Yes, the NPC outfits you see people in the cities that you can't wear. Yeah, like the civilian clothes from Ul'dah and Gridania and Linza.
Awesome, that's wonderful. I'm looking forward to that because there's a couple of outfits from 2.0 that I first saw that I really like, but they haven't included yet.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really nice set of rewards. Those may be gender locked as well, but there's a fair variety in the citizen clothes, so that's a good thing.
And from my understanding too, is there's several different mini games, not limited to Triple Triad, and most of them look like not so much luck based, but timing based.
Which brings to me, I think a lot of them are kind of reusing the same elements as the old gathering system back in 1.0.
Yes, that's what it looked like to me as well.
Which is great. I missed that. I missed I liked the gathering minigame. I was one of the few people who did. I'm glad to see that coming back, even if it's just as a side venture.
But it's to see how it's going to be implemented is going to be the big thing here. I know I'm going to enjoy it regardless.
We also have found out that we're going to be getting Golden Saucer active time events. So there will be little mini games that we will all be playing in groups at unexpected intervals.
That sounds like it would be crazy fun, and I just hope they don't become as annoying or required as Fates are now.
I think they've said they're going to work a little bit different than Fates. Mostly, the reason that they're keeping the latter part of the acronym has more to do with they still work in the unexpected way, not in so far as, better get some Golden Saucer events done for your next stage of the Relic. Then again, they might very well do that too. Who knows?
As long as it's mini games and not more dungeons. Oh god, I'm so sick of dungeons.
Please look forward to it.
No, thank you. I spent over 100 runs on just 2 dungeons in particular for that relic.
Yeah. But moving along, we'll complain about that later. Some other day. Have we mentioned lately that that was not terribly well handled? So, moving on, if you want to right now, you can take part in a little event because it is the Valentine's Day celebration. So, if you want to jump in, you can get yourself some heart-themed accessories, decorations, and some beautiful Chocobo barding.
Beautiful. Right.
I have dressed my bird buff in it, and he is absolutely gorgeous. He is the bird of love.
Yeah, doesn't look too bad, but I don't know, Choco panties, no.
You're just jealous.
Why would I be jealous of that?
You're jealous that you can never be as pretty as my bird.
Oh, it's terrible. But I know a way that I can be better looking.
What's that?
With the 720-day update that we're going to be getting for Veteran Rewards, I will be able to dress as Cloud from Advent Children.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's going to make you look a lot better. Look at me, guys. I'm draped in a bunch of sheets.
Well,
Here I am, everyone, dressed like the most overrated protagonist in Final Fantasy history. Woo, I look great.
I'm still surprised, though, that they went with the Advent Children look rather than the Classic 7 look.
I'm kind of glad they did, because I think, honestly, the designs from Advent Children look better than the ones from straight 7, especially when you're trying to update those 7 designs to look like, actual clothing instead of dealing with the limitations of the PlayStation.
True, but his Classic 7 look is more iconic.
It is more iconic, but I think it might also have made more sense for 14's overall aesthetic to go with the Advent Children appearance.
Yeah, I suppose. But now that we look at it from this way, that means we have 4 character outfits from other Final Fantasy games in 14 now.
Yep.
Snow, Lightning, Cloud, and Setzer.
And if you're willing to extend to multi-game things like the Chocobo suit and the Moogle outfit, well, then that number just goes up a little bit there.
But I'm pretty stoked about the upcoming updates.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of information right now, but most of this stuff is being held back for Heavensward, I think. And as we get closer, we're going to get more and more information about that.
Yep, and they've been still kind of tight-lipped about Heavensward. I think we're probably going to get more information about Heavensward than we already have once the second part of Before the Fall is live and everything comes crashing down.
Well, it's not really going to be Before the Fall at that point anymore. It would be the fall, wouldn't it?
Well, yes, but I think the patch can be called Before the Fall if everything else takes place before the fall. Then there's the fall. I mean.
But the one thing I've noticed that they haven't talked about since 2.2 was there's been very little to no mention of Omega Weapon since 2.2.
That seems like an obvious hole that we might get. There are a lot of plot threads that they could wrap up. There are characters that, for lack of a better term, seem pretty transparently villainous that we don't know exactly what their deal is yet. So there are a lot of threads they could pick up at this point. Yeah,
and there's a lot of speculation going amongst me and some of my friends that we've been discussing storyline ideas of where it's going to go. So it'll be interesting to see how right or how wrong we all are.
Do you want to share any of those with us?
I think Ilbreed, the captain of the Crystal Braves, I'm thinking that he's the Ivy.
I don't think that he's necessarily the Ivy, because there was way too little denial of what was going on with the previous suspect. But I think it's pretty obvious if you do the storyline quests that even if he is not even if he's not the Ivy, there's something dirty going on with him. He is not above the board, and something's going on that he isn't talking about.
Well, it just seemed way too easy and way too convenient that the person who was the previous suspect happened to be caught, Elbert just happened to know that they were going to be doing these things. It just seems, it screams of setup to me. Like, purposely leaving somebody else to take the fall, so that way it looks like you caught this person, but it's not actually that person.
I think I don't deny for a second. Ilbert is obviously, and if you've done the storyline question, there's something shady going on with that guy. You aren't seeing the full picture. And I think there's also more shady stuff going on than we previously knew when it comes to Ishgard's war with the Dravanians. I actually have a kind of out there theory that we have no confirmation of yet, but it ties into some of the story quests that we got in Before the Fall Part 1, and it's been hinted at, if not said outright so far.
Alright, well, why don't you throw that theory out there?
Well, something's been kind of bugging me for a while, is that, it's as much as, obviously there's bad blood between the Ishgardians and the Dravanians, but it always seemed a little bit too pat, and especially when every war that we know about in Final Fantasy XIV generally has been rewritten slightly by the side that we're dealing with. If you finished up the Hildebrand quests, you've heard that the history that's known of the Ul'dah and Sil'Dih conflict is not exactly what went down. So, what I'm starting to suspect, especially with the interactions that you have with the Keeper of the Lake, I think it's entirely possible that Ishgard and Dravania used to be allied. That rather than, dragoons coming about to kill dragons, dragoons were originally, literally dragon knights. And I'm wondering, I suspect that, because Ishgard, as we know from earlier story quests, the Ascians have clearly gotten their claws into Ishgard.
Uh-huh.
They're influencing Ishgard. And even, the Keeper of the Lake is not actually as hostile towards you as you might expect. I suspect that what we're going to find out is that that basically Ishgard has been perpetuating this conflict, and that there are more factions at play than we know, that really there are the Dravanians who want war, and then there are the Dravanians who just want to leave humans alone, and there are Ishgardians who know that they are basically fighting a war against a group that they betrayed, versus Ishgardians who have no idea about this and literally believe that, yeah, all of the dragons just hate us and we just need to kill all of them. So I think we're going to... because every time we've been dealing with one of the big Dravanian heavy hitters, when we dealt with Iceheart, dealing with the Keeper of the Lake, all of them are really willing to talk, and all of them keep hinting obliquely that there's something going on here. You don't know what the deal is. You don't have the whole picture.
Yeah, I suppose that does make quite a bit of sense. It's a matter of perspective, so to speak.
Yeah, I just... That's my suspicion, that, we're going to... The Ishgard that we're going to explore when we get to Heavensward is not going to be the traditional Ishgard. It's not... Things are going to have changed.
Yeah, Ishgard will burn, if I remember correctly.
Yep. So, let's move on a little bit, and let's talk... You want to talk a little bit more about meta news? Unless there's...
Yeah, I think we covered most of the in-game and news-related stuff directly to Final Fantasy. But, why don't we talk a little bit about why we didn't have an episode last week?
Yep. Now, I don't want to go into too many details here, because we've discussed them elsewhere, but... Essentially, at the end of last week, Massively, the site that I had worked at for more than 5 years, and home of the Moglog, and, many, many things, we were told kind of unceremoniously that it was going to be shut down after a couple days in February. So, we announced it on the 30th of January that we were shutting down, and Nell, thankfully, agreed that, yeah, this was really not the time for a podcast. I needed to kind of focus on trying to get another job very quickly, because I was out of luck since my job had just evaporated with very little notice. So, Massively closed down on February 4th, and that was the end of it. The last moglog went live on the 3rd. So that was the end of it. I don't know. There's not much more to say about that.
No, it's the end of an era, and I do specifically remember that you guys, when you first started covering 14, I do believe you talked with Aetherite Radio right at the start.
Yes, I talked with Aetherite Radio very early on there, and over the years, obviously, I've gotten a chance to get to know many people other than just Nell, but I don't want to end this on a down note.
Not that there's ever other people other than me. I'm just so great.
But I don't want to end this on a down note because that's not
how
the
we
end
roll.
Of the story. And that's not, that's leaving out a big important piece of information there because we put our heads together and, myself and the rest of the team from the site are working together to relaunch as Massively Overpowered. And yes, I will have a new Final Fantasy XIV column on there.
Yes. Have you thought of a name for it yet?
I had been brainstorming some names. I'm going with Wisdom of Nim.
Oh, I like the Unending Journey.
I know you like, but that could be any game.
But that's specifically what the name is of the journal in 14 that lets you rewatch the cutscenes.
Yes, it is the name of the journal, but it doesn't sound like Final Fantasy XIV, unless you are familiar with the in-room journal. Besides, this way, I can have a little Tonberry mascot.
Yeah, I suppose. Stop Tonbullying 2015.
Wanderer's Palace Heart is the best dungeon ever because you're saving Ton BBs.
Ah, they're so cute.
I love the ending cutscene. Da 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 da. But yes, so we will be relaunching. We have a Kickstarter live, and I think we'll probably put the address for that down in the information section if you want to contribute. We are 100% funded as of today, as we're recording this episode, but we do have stretch goals already, so we're doing very well. We are very thankful for the community banding together and saying, you guys want to see this, so by all means, check out the Kickstarter. If you want to toss some more money in there, that's great. We outline what we're doing and where we're going forward, and we should have a preliminary site ready either tomorrow or later the week. I'm not 100% sure.
That's awesome. I'm so glad you guys got the funding, though.
Yeah. I actually I went from, at the beginning of the week being like, okay, I have no job and I don't know what I'm going to do anymore, to now I have several contracts and, obviously this took off too, so...
But that's awesome. I am so glad for you. And that means everybody who came over from the Moglog has a place to go back and continue to read some of your work outside of your Patreon/Tumblr.
Yep.
And on top of that, there'll be content that you can bring other people to listen to our show.
Mm-hmm. As I always have. Because I'm rather proud of the show, and well, I hope everyone who listens to it enjoys it, and sorry about the little gap in production there, but our heart wasn't in it last week, honestly, for very good reasons.
Yeah, but I think we'll be back into the flow again now, especially since things have turned around very quickly, I might add.
Oh, yes, indeed they have. Okay, so do you want to give a discussion topic this week?
A discussion topic this week. I'm going to go with my question from last week that we never got a chance to answer. Do you believe that the Mandervilles should be part of the Scions? Why or why not?
Okay, well, that's as good a place as any to stop. So, as always, you can contact us both via the comments or by Twitter. I'm Elliot_Lefebvre.
I'm at Nell Celestine.
Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Obviously, you can get in touch with us through Twitter comments, as we mentioned. You can also leave us comments on the Lodestone topic, on the new Final Fantasy 14 column on massively overpowered, etc., etc. But the YouTube
The best
comments,
way to reach us are the YouTube comments and Twitter.
That's where we see it the fastest, and that's how we can respond the fastest. So, and as always, I'm Elliot Lefebvre.
And I'm Nell Celestine.
Bidding you adieu.
Adieu.